Welcome, crew, to What Are Your Three, a Channel 3 podcast, where we take a member of the Channel 3 community, discuss 3 games of their choosing, go through some honorable mentions and some other video game odds and ends for a nice little discussion. I'm Dan Tucker, and with me, as always, is El Ray.
What's going on, everybody? Today's guest is someone that I can't believe it's taken 31 episodes, well, 30, this is 31, to get him on the podcast because he is one of the cogs that make Channel 3 run. The man is just putting work in every day, and I don't know if it gets recognized enough if you notice, but I'm glad to have him here. jdaviesiii is on the podcast. How are you doing today, sir?
Ray, Dan, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I wouldn't call myself a cog in the wheel of Channel 3. I'm just a grain of sand underneath the wheel that Joel is. Glad to be part of the ride. Glad to be a witness on behind the scenes things. And we're really just happy to be part of the community and be part of the crew. Thanks for having me here.
Well, we're happy to have you. And we're going to jump right in here. First game on the list, Super Mario Bros. And I feel like it matters, so I have to ask this question first. Is it on the NES or is it on the Super NES? I've learned multiple ways to say this. We have Super NES. I'm going to go with Super NES today because that was the latest one that I heard. Where were you playing this game?
I was playing it on the NES.
On the NES? That's amazing.
Nintendo. On the Nintendo.
That's right, on the Nintendo. Yeah. I have another thought on that, by the way, but I'll get into it later. So tell us.
Do you guys get this out of your system? Are you both done now? Are we good? Good.
By the way, I have an issue with people that say the PlayStation 1. I think it's an insult. It's the PlayStation. And then there's the PS2 and the PS3. It's the PlayStation.
I'll call it the PlayStation or the PS. I will call it the PS1 periodically.
Now, they made a PS1.
That was, yes, you're correct. They did.
They did actually make a PS1, but the PlayStation is the system. Anyway, back to the list. Why are we starting with Super Mario Bros, Jay?
Yeah, so I was born in the late 80s. I don't remember us not having a Nintendo. And I don't know if it was just because it was one of the few games that we had when I was so impressionable, but I don't know. It was the easier or more fun, more entertaining game. So I would just pop in, and I only had an older sister, so it's not like I had older brothers that were gaming with me. My sister didn't game too much with me. So I just pop in Mario and just play. And play. I mean, it's just like that is my gateway into gaming, as is so true for so many people that are from that late 80s, early 90s, or any time in the 80s probably, time period where like that is your gateway into gaming. And the game holds up. Like the game 100% holds up. I remember in like 2011, I had an Android phone with an HDMI, like a mini or micro HDMI port for output, right? And so what did I immediately do? I immediately went and got an emulator, put the ROM on my phone, and then started playing on a 57-inch Mitsubishi HD rear projector, from like laying in front of the 57-inch, in college, just sitting there and playing Super Mario Bros. It is a classic, timeless game. The movie is out now. We just bought the digital version after seeing it in theaters and watched it this past weekend, and it just holds up. Like the gameplay, all of the soundtracks. I don't know how else to describe the GOAT.
As of this showing, it is number 3 animated movie of all time. It's now just behind the 2 Frozen films. We just bought it digital as well and watched it for a second time, and the movie was still great the second time. So why do you think the game holds up so well? Because I agree with you. There's a lot of games that you play and you feel like, wow, it just doesn't work anymore. But this game works. It's very smooth.
I mean, so the first and foremost, the soundtrack is very engaging. So it doesn't matter what world you're in or what level you're on. You're engaged with that, and you're either humming, tapping your foot, or you're going along with it. And it's setting the mood, right? Second in that is there's so many different hidden aspects in the game that, like, if you haven't played in a while, like, you might not exactly remember all of them, right? Where all of the little hidden aspects are. And then, you've got the option, like, do I go warp world and just skip to the end, or do I try to play through? There's so many different ways that you can attack the game and try to get engagement in gameplay. And then there's 2-player, right? And the 2 players, like, trade off back and forth. It's not co-op playing or anything like that, but there's just so many different ways to get involved in that game. Whether it's like, okay, I'm going to go and try to speed run this, or I'm going to go and try to find all of the mushrooms or break all of the bricks and get all of those 50 points at a time and do whatever it is, right? Or I'm going to try to beat this game on firepower only. I'm not going to beat a level unless I'm on firepower, kind of setting your own goals or whatever it is. The game is just so challenging in so many different ways to play it. I don't know, just to me, it holds up. Mostly in nostalgia, probably, and the fact that I love it. But it's not easy these days. It wasn't easy back in the day, but it's also not incredibly difficult. So, you can get a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old in on the game, and they'll figure out how to get through and to advance level by level.
So you ever think, as you were playing this game, obviously you were young at the time, so I don't know how much we think about this as kids, that the side-scrolling plumber who is fighting a giant turtle was going to be the biggest video game character we ever had? Like the concept doesn't really make sense, right? It's just kind of random stuff thrown at a wall, but it happened to all stick.
I probably think I thought Bowser was a dragon as a kid because he's spitting fire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I had any clue that Mario was a plumber, but no, I would have never thought that would be the, so I had a PlayStation as well as a Dreamcast, and Sonic was real big with the Dreamcast, the Sonic 3D World version of the game. And then I remember Crash Bandicoot with PlayStation being real big, and Spyro. You would think that these games and these characters would take off and potentially be face and image. But no, Mario's the man. Super Mario 64 was an amazing game, and Mario in himself is just so iconic. As a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, you would never think some side-scrolling game that's really basic and rudimentary is going to be it when there were more advanced games out there.
So playing on the NES, did you come with Duck Hunt? Did you play Duck Hunt as well?
I remember the original box that we had. I don't know why we still had the box in 94, but yeah, I still had that. I had MTV remote control. I had a bunch of random games that I played, but yeah, we definitely still had the light gun. At some point, I was an idiot and I cut the cord off the light gun to use it as a toy. But, that's what happens.
On that tragic note, let's move on to game number 2, where we head to Minecraft, a game that has survived many years, many an iteration at this point. So I have to start off with, what was your first console for this? How did you play it? Was it PC? Where'd you jump in?
Probably 2012, Xbox 360. It'd been kind of popular before that, but I hadn't had a console since a PS2 at that point. And my brother-in-law gave me his old 360. That was the smallest memory, all of that, because he got a bigger one, and he was like, hey, you can have this. And I had heard through the church that I was going to at the time, some of the other youth and college age kids and all that were talking about Minecraft. And I was like, all right, it's Legos is what they're describing it as. I love Legos. I love engineering. That's the way my mind works. Connect sets are amazing. Let me download this. It's $20. Let me see what it's about. And I'm hooked, and I was hooked, right? The 8-bit or maybe a 16-bit, whatever it is. The block graphics are fantastic and very entertaining. The ability to just be creative. And I think my favorite part of Minecraft is the physics and integration. The fact that you can build a computer using redstone. I know it gets a lot more in depth than that, but using pistons and sticky goo and all of that, to develop actual machine mechanics and simple machines is amazing. I just can't believe that somebody took such a simple game that looks like a 3D version of Super Mario Bros. And then turned it into, a physics designed game where you can build a computer, build a calculator, and these things do actual binary operations. I have a degree in mathematics, and I was studying mathematics when I was playing all of this, so apologies for that. Something where you do all these binary operations and it holds true. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun in that. So I guess it's just bringing back that nostalgia, that childhood of building and being creative, but in a video game now.
So I have to ask because I didn't come along to this until much later, but that's a story for another day. So you mentioned this was the Xbox 360 days. Did this have a manual at that point in time? Like how, or did you just get dropped into it?
I think I downloaded the digital version or something like that, or a digital copy through the Xbox Play Store or whatever. So no manual. I just got dropped into it.
So how did you talk to me about that? You get dropped into this block world. You're probably in the middle of a field or the middle of a forest, and then what? What did you do? Like, how'd you figure it out? Walk me through that. I want to understand that.
Like any good game developer, there's some hints along the way. Like, you point your cursor and it says dig. But, you go and you walk around, you explore, you kind of just press all the buttons and see what button does what. You realize, I can collect these materials. Okay, let me start collecting that. And then, you go from there. You realize like, okay, let me go check out and see what YouTube's got going for this. And back then, whomever made Red versus Blue, Rooster Teeth had Let's Plays, and I think those were like peak 2013 popularity. Man, watching those Let's Plays with Rooster Teeth on Minecraft were hilarious. They used to rip each other so hard, and it was always a good laugh. So it was, part of it was, hey, I'm going to go watch this Rooster Teeth and laugh and kind of see what they're doing as well, and the tasks and whatnot that they're doing.
So did you play survival, creative? Did you just want to experience it, or how did you go about picking how to play?
I don't know. I guess I played. Yeah, I remember playing a lot of survival, not in the sense that like I was doing it to like better my gaming or anything like that, but it was all a creative outlet because I would be like, okay, I want to mine real deep and I want to, build an underground lair and this really awesome fort. Like it was totally me being a child, right? Like I want to build this awesome fort that I'm then it's going to be protected. Nobody's going to be able to get to me. It's going to be castle-esque. I'm going to tunnel myself a channel with a boat that leads me to the river from my fort if I want to go out to the river. And also within my fort, I'll have a spiral dungeon staircase all the way to bedrock where I'll be mining for whatever I want, for lava. I don't know. It's just an opportunity to get creative and to really like build out like all aspects of the life, if you will. Like if I need to go to the river, I have a direct connection. If I need to go mining, I have a direct connection. I can go fishing from here. Do what you need to do to survive and to keep advancing.
So what was your most epic creation?
I don't know if I really remember, honestly. A lot of life has happened since then. Father of two, so a lot of lack of sleep. I wouldn't know if I would describe any of it as epic. It was always something I did in spare time, nothing I gave a lot of dedicated time to, but I absolutely loved that creative time. But I think at one point I mimicked somebody's trying to remember creeper farm, if you will, or I don't remember the exact name, but it was more or less like a zombie farm, like where like you're farming zombies, like you're growing zombies and then killing them for the material that they give you.
So you mentioned the machines. You talked about the redstone, and I've learned quite a bit about all of that and effectively conducting electricity. And you talked about kind of building some machines of varying degrees, everything from a light switch or a lever to power a door to setting off some remote dynamite. You talked about using some of the goos and slimes and whatnot to build some sticky bouncers, TNT launchers, some things along those lines. Any fun machines that stick in mind?
I mean, I remember building like trap doors and like a giant platform that, more or less setting myself up Goonie-esque booby traps, right? If the Fratellis are chasing me, I step over this switch and then boom, everybody but Chunk and I are safe. I mean, Chunk and I are safe. Everybody else is toast. That's kind of how I used it, right? Like when I catch myself in a pinch, right, and I've got a spider chasing me or a mob of creepers or whatever it is, right? Like I know I can go this specific route, step on this trap door, and I'm good.
I think that's a crossover Minecraft's missing out on. You could get Mario, Luigi, Wario skins in Minecraft. We need a Ma Fratelli skin to replace the Steve and Alex skin. I think that's an opportunity for him there.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be wonderful. One-Eyed Willy would be the best skin, though.
Yeah, just the skeletal version from the pirate ship. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry, Ray. We gotta move away from movie discussion. Ray's giving us a side eye here. Hey, one last question. So do you still play Minecraft? Do you still pick it up once in a while? I know you don't have a console, but you got the PC there, right?
I mean, I bought Minecraft on my phone years ago, right? So it still transfers with my Play account every time I get a new phone. Maybe once a year I pick it up for 20 minutes. I don't know, just on my phone, right? But I have a 5-year-old, right? He's getting of age to start gaming more and to start exploring and be creative. We love Duplo in our house. We have a 2-year-old, so we're not quite ready for Legos, just for a safety issue. But we love Duplo. We love building. So with my 5-year-old, maybe it's time to, once we get a console, or I mean, I've got a gaming PC now. It might be time to start playing Minecraft.
You'll be amazed how quickly the kids at school start talking about that stuff, and that I learned from the rest of my kids' classes how to play Minecraft is what it comes down to. That we just started playing, we used the switches, played with each other in a contained space, and it was like, what do I do now? They were the ones who taught me how to play, because I was not as smart as you to want to be like, okay, do I dig here? I just got killed by a zombie, and I was like, I'm done with this. This is not for me. And it wasn't until my kids learned from other kids and taught me how to play that I started building, Castle jdaviesiii in the background while my kids were off running, crazy missions and trying to see how many zombie hordes they could take on. I'm like, I'm just going to build my fortress up here, and you guys can come here when you want to run away. I got you covered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the classic dad role right there. I'm going to hold down the fort. I'm going to make sure that, everything's ready to go. The grass is mowed. And when the dinner bell rings, y'all come home.
And let's move on. Game number 3, Tetris, which I think that's a new addition to our podcast here. I don't know if anyone's played Tetris before. What version or what system were you playing Tetris, or do you just play Tetris on every version you can?
Any and all versions I can. I remember playing it on my Game Boy Color, but where I really fell in love with it was just whatever was on the Android App Store in college. There was just this one low point in getting a degree in mathematics where it was study all the time and no time for fun. So, but there was always like, a 30-minute gap in between classes or whatever. And so, man, I picked up Tetris and just had a mission one semester to beat Tetris. And I did. Like I beat all, and so this was the mobile version, but I beat all of the speeds and all of the levels on the mobile version. And then I retired.
All right. So before we go forward, I have to ask this question because all I want to do is cause controversy whenever I can. How would you pronounce the what the group of shapes are? Not the individuals.
Isn't it Tetrinos?
That's one way to pronounce it.
I don't even write it down for me. I'll tell you how to pronounce it.
It's TETRO MINO. You could throw an ES at the end for plural if you'd like. So
Tetraminos.
So you see Tetraminos. I believe Dan said that too. That's the one I think I hear. I would call them Tetraminos. And I go because of
that's a great reaction you had. That face you just made is exactly the reaction you should have had to what he said.
First, Tetraminos because of the amazing
sounds like
game.
A math term.
First, yes. Number one, yes. And number two, because of the game Dominoes. It's the game Dominoes, so it's just Tetraminos.
I'm getting ganged up on by the math guys here. I'm laying low on this one. Whatever.
I knew J. Davies would understand me in this here.
And so, but I'm so left-brained that I said Tetrinos, right? Like I didn't realize it was an M.
But yeah, I probably heard more people call them
Tetraminos.
There you go, Tetraminos. I can't even say it. Tetraminos. Anyway,
this is not a hill I'm going to die on. Just so we're clear, I actually may go with Tetraminos by the time all is said and done. It just sounds more pretentious. I got to get over it, I guess. I don't know.
It's like Ted Mosby saying encyclopedia.
Oh, what a reference right there, Ted. Well, see now I'm just smug like Ted Mosby. That's what I'm gonna take away from this. So tell me, what about putting a bunch of blocks in a line and making them appear makes it a game that you said this has to be number 3 on my list?
Yeah, so for sure, the anxiety that is induced in Tetris on yourself is thrilling. Like it's one of those games that it's like keep talking and nobody explodes type anxiety, right? Like you just the tension is there, thing is building up to this moment, and you're at the top, and if you can get this one block, not this one block, but this one Tetramino into the right place, then all your concerns in the world go away for the next 3 seconds at least. And so you get that one piece, that one Tetramino in, and it feels so good. And then if you lose, yeah, you just get to try again. But the anticipation, that anxiety, that buildup, it's that thrill, that rush. It's addictive. I don't know the correct science, but it's a dopamine hit for sure. And I don't know, like it's just so simple, right? I think that there's there's like 5 different blocks, and then they changed the shapes and the inversions of them or something like that.
Yep, that's right.
So simple, and yet so beautiful that it's been iterated upon and duplicated and copied and all of that, to where now you get like, Bejeweled Blitz or whatever and things like that, where they just take the basic premise and they steal from it. So,
wait,
yeah, I think. Go ahead, Dan.
I have to ask a question because your college experience has come up a couple times now, and I have a lot of questions and concerns about your anxiety-seeking behaviors that occurred here. The first time it came out, I was concerned because you mentioned playing on a 57-inch projector, and I'll just say my college experience was royalty if someone had a 19-inch CRT. So good for you, but I'm really more worried about your seeking out of pain, suffering, and anxiety as a result of your studies.
Well, listen, as a math major, let me
jump in here. Help me out, Ray.
Let me jump in here for J Davies. As a math major, we understand when we're at college campus, all our classes occur in the saddest building on the campus, and it's universal. It doesn't matter what university you go to. If you find the business buildings and they're new, they're really nice bricks, regal. You find the science buildings, glass walls, these giant rooms, and then whatever building the math classes happen in is gray. There's still chalkboards because no one actually cares about using a whiteboard or markers. There's no outlets on the walls because what do you need electronics for? You're gonna write it on paper anyway, and it's just like just don't care. No one cares what it looks like because it's just gonna be anxiety or it's gonna be depressing. And then you're going to come and do it again anyway because it's the only way the world makes sense.
Is this where I have to put in an ad for J.G. Wentworth servicing people with the white lung from overused chalkboards in math? No, listen, I can vouch for St. Joe's in Philly. Everything you just said is correct about the caliber of the math building and the classrooms the math classes were stuck in. I won't argue that. Never mind. I'm done. I'm out. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, and it's so true. I had a math professor that smelled like cats. I don't think they would let him in the other buildings. Guy used to work for NASA, I think. He's a genius. But it's so true. The Life and Science building is what ours was. I graduated from Oklahoma State. The Life and Science building. It was one of the older classroom buildings that hadn't been updated. There was like the old Central, which is like one of the original buildings from like the 1800s at Oklahoma State. Of course, it's been updated though, right? But the math building hasn't. Still smells like the 60s and 70s in there and cats. But yeah, there's just something about being a math major, and it's intriguing. Math is so intriguing, and you get into like the philosophy of mathematics, whether math was designed or found, if you will, or created or found, and you get into these great philosophical discussions. But at the end of the day, yeah, we still have chalkboards. They're not updating that.
Ray gets upset when we talk about even veer towards movies, but here we get to the philosophical concept of pi. And Ray, I have never seen Ray smile more than this conversation.
This is actually one of the best conversations of all time because I do it with my students. And they're like, "What's math?" I was like, "Well, you should definitely take a history of math class because it's some of the most interesting history there is out there. Like philosophy of math, yes. It's just an amazing topic, and I could go on. I could go on forever with it. With jdavies here.
The most amazing thing is to me is that there are people out there that think that mathematics is made up, because I'm of such a firm belief that it's so complex. There's no way that we could construct rules that hold eternal truths like this. So I don't know. We don't have to get into the philosophy of mathematics. Maybe that's saved for, like channel X, because X is a variable.
Just channel pi. Just channel pi. That's all it needs.
Channel pi.
Explain pi. Go ahead.
Before we get back to Tetris.
I can explain pie. It's round. It's got pepperonis and cheese on it.
Absolutely.
It's not a slice.
You cut it in slices.
Pie.
You cut it in slices and you enjoy it because it's the greatest thing of all time. Last thing before we get back to Tetris, because we're talking about video games here. The Grapes of Math. Great little book on math philosophies and discovering math as opposed to creating it. So Grapes of Math, great book. I use a lot of tidbits in it in my class. Anytime my students look like they're bored, there's some real fun facts that the world is programmed a very specific way, and it's just really good stuff.
This was not where I saw this.
This is the greatest podcast ever.
There's ways these go. Like usually a couple buckets. I did not see the philosophy of math being where this particular conversation was going. Should have seen it coming. I didn't realize I was getting ganged up on.
I love it. All right, let's go with this. Do you know the names? Do you know the names of the Tetris pieces? Or what do you call them? What if, forget about the names. What do you call the pieces?
Well, one of them is a 2x2 square. The other one's a 1x4 rectangle. Then you've got your 2 and your 5. I don't call them the 2 and the 5. I'm just a Z and an S.
Mm-hmm.
I don't call them that. I don't call them anything. And then you got your L's.
That's right. Absolutely, I agree with you. You have your L's. Now, officially, there's a J, but as far as I'm concerned, there's an L and a reverse L. There is no J.
There's an L and there's a dyslexic L.
There you go. So there's a separate set of names that popped up, and let me tell you right now, I only know this because Dan was explaining it to me. There's a separate set of names where they were called Orange Ricky, Blue Ricky for my L's, the Cleveland Z, and the Rhode Island Z for my Z and S. And then we had the Hero, which is our line block, the Tiwi, and Smash Boy. That was a separate set of names that showed up. And I feel like I heard these names when I was a kid, especially like Smash Boy and Tiwi kind of stuck in my head.
See, this is my generation's version of Shaq being in a Genie movie. Of Shaq Shazam that doesn't exist.
It absolutely exists.
It's a Mandela effect that Ray's having right now, thanks to an internet meme.
So I feel like I heard these names as kids, but apparently they're fake names.
I've never heard them.
If you Google names of Tetris pieces, it's like the first thing that shows up.
I made the mistake of ruining the podcast during prep because I should have just kept not my mouth shut, but my typing shut. Because I'm sitting there, I got the notes open here. I was working on editing another podcast, and I see that thing pop up. I'm like, Ray, don't do it. It's fake. It's not real. And because Jeopardy got burned by this one time. Jeopardy actually had a question asking about these names of Tetraminos, Tetraminos, whatever you want to call them, and they used this, not knowing it was something someone made up on the internet that was fake. And I should have let Ray just kind of back himself into a corner, but it was kind of more fun, I guess, letting him know beforehand.
I mean, I haven't seen the Tetris movie yet. Maybe that's really helped this myth take off. But no, I never had any names for them, not Z, not S, not anything, right? I don't know what kind of in-depth conversations I've ever had about Tetris, honestly. I mean, I love the game. I love playing it, but and the reason I love playing it is because it's a puzzle game, right? Puzzle games are absolutely fantastic. On my honorable mentions, I have another puzzle game. growing up, going to church, we used to call it big church when we go to service. And like, I would get the kids packet, right? And I would do that. And the Sunday crossword, I would try to do all of these puzzles because that's the way my brain works. That's the way that I like problem solving. So Tetris is problem solving, anxiety induced problem solving, but very, very, very fulfilling.
All right, well, let's take away from here because you mentioned a movie and Ray went from his happiness about the philosophy of math back into giving me some kind of like a bull staring at a red cape look. So let's move on to your honorable mentions. You started this one off here with Mario Kart 64. So let's see where this one goes.
I never had an N64 growing up. Friends did, neighbors did. The summer latchkey program that I was part of in elementary school did. But it wasn't always about racing. It was the donut battle mode is where it was at. And I really wish that battle mode for Mario Kart 64 was still super popular these days. And maybe it is. Maybe I need to get a Switch. But that is what Mario Kart's all about. It is not about racing. It's about battle mode.
Join us. Yes.
This is a hot take right here. I like it.
This is not a hot take actually for 64.
This is for 64, that's right. Balloon battle.
Battle mode on 64 peaked because you had the 4 controllers set up, so everybody was right there. This was mind-blowing stuff when you had that there. So if you had access to the 4 controllers, or you had friends, or at the various groups you were, like, did they have the 4 controllers? You're kind of shaking your head there, like you kind of got it. So I got to ask.
You get screen sniped, you get mad, you storm off, but then you call next.
See, that's why I wanted to know: were you a looker? No,
I was never. No, I was never. First off, I think I'm a little too respectful to screen snipe.
You're a man of dignity in class, is what you're trying to say. Yes, go on.
And I don't think I'm good enough to screen snipe. Playing Halo with friends, like I remember being like, "What's the point of the campaign mode in this game?" And it's like in 7th grade, maybe 6th grade, they were messing with me and they go like, "Look up, you see the Halo? Like you have to break the Halo. That's the whole point of the Covenant. You have to break the Halo. So shoot it." So like I'm like, "Oh, whatever. I'll shoot it. See what happens." And then they come and snipe me, and I realize what they did, and I'm like, "All right, 3 kills for them." I think it's funny that they think it's funny. So like, I'm just going to point up and shoot and see who can get the most kills. So like, yeah, screen sniping. I'm not really that great at video games. I don't know why I'm here. Maybe I can leave, but I don't know, man. Yeah. Screen sniping is not me. And I'm not good enough to screen snipe, honestly.
That was the disadvantage of I don't think it was as big of a deal with Mario Kart as it was with GoldenEye. Or Perfect Dark. That was where you really got into trouble with the 4-way screen and everybody being right there, and find that picture on the internet of the guys who like took the 4 pizza boxes and blocked off the screen that way. Ingenious move. Really wished I'd have thought of that. But I don't think you had the same thing going even in battle mode of understanding, because the map was also on the screen anyway. You could see where somebody was to work your way through to it.
I mean, that's true, but at the same time, knowing somebody was like about. Maybe this is Mandela effect, but I feel like the ghost mode would make you disappear off the map. And so that was a big part of the screen snipe. But, just in general, being able to see like from a different angle, what's happening, what's about to go down, it was all worth it and so much fun. Mostly like that multi-tiered block levels where screen sniping was most important.
So did you have a character you rode with? Were you a ride or die character?
I was not good enough to ride or die. Definitely tried to do as much for Yoshi as possible. I guess I don't know if I wasn't super big into dinosaurs as a kid or anything, and Yoshi's just so dang cute. Yoshi, whomever was available. Typically, I would get last pick, is how I feel. So whomever was left over.
There's nothing wrong with Yoshi. Absolutely nothing wrong for that. So you said favorite course though, donut was the donut ring was the way to go.
For battle mode, for sure, just because it's great to watch people fall off into the lava. Try your best not to fall off yourself, but That's the one that was most impressionable of epicness, if you will. Clearly the block, I think it's just called block or block fort, maybe, where it was, the 4 multi-tiered blocks. That one was the classic, if you will, but I think the donut was the most fun for battle mode.
Playable Characters Podcast, funny interviews with real video game characters.
Hi, I'm Calvin Cato.
And I'm Brian McGinnis, and we interview video game characters on our show. We have comedians and actors come on and pretend they're a video game character for 30 minutes. We talk to them. It's all ad-libbed and improvised and always very funny.
Past guests include Bowser, Ms. Pac-Man, Q*bert, Princess Peach, and Princess Daisy.
Yeah.
Yep.
You put them in a booth, and something short-circuited, and I decided that someone was taking too long in the money booth. And I hit her with a baseball bat. And thus was born Super Smash TV.
Just like that.
I was being raised by a family of toadstools.
How was that? That seemed like it might be kind of fun.
It was really fun.
Mario should stick to plumbing, okay? Okay, he's from what I hear, a good plumber, a terrible hero.
Yeah.
So, really bad. And, let's not get started on his, whatever he is, friend, brother, special friend, I don't know, Luigi, whatever they're doing. Well, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. They're saying they're brothers because, in the Italian-American community, these people tend to not look kindly on certain relations.
If you want to know what's going on in your favorite video game character's life, check us out. Playable Characters Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yes, comes out every Monday.
All right, let's move on to your second honorable mention, where we go to, you just wrote Counter-Strike, which leads to a lot of questions. None of those questions, since it's a Valve game, will be, do you mean Counter-Strike 3? Because we will never see a third game from the Valve company ever. We're just finally getting Counter-Strike 2 coming this year after the original release in 1999. But I see no. So what are we talking here when we're talking about Counter-Strike?
1.6.
1.6.
This man had a version and everything ready.
Well, are there other versions?
Well,
it definitely wasn't Counter-Strike Go.
So that's just, you had Counter-Strike, and then you had what was the second one called that Valve didn't even participate in, and eventually you got to Go. Global Offensive was then its own thing. So you're talking the original, just Counter-Strike. You got bomb defusals, hostages, all of that.
Headshot. Headshot.
There you go.
Kill. Yeah, those were. We played Walmart map one time. You could crawl through the air vents. People were custom making Counter-Strike maps back in the day. People were modding it where it was scout snipers only, right? The custom servers and custom games were so fun. 7th and 8th grade, I think. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It was just a very impressionable time to be in a first-person shooter gaming environment.
So was this PC action then?
PC action.
So what was your favorite game mode? What was your favorite mission, game mode, mod?
Skywalker? His favorite mod? It was on Dust. You could hop up on invisible stairs and just take people out. There's probably a lot of people who are going to listen to this, hear me talk about cheating, and then tune me out for the rest of our encounters. But that's okay. I wasn't cheating. It was just glitches in the game, I believe. But either way, definitely, bomb defusal was a lot of fun. DE Dust, even trying to, win that mission. But man, it was just anything, a scouts only map where everybody had the single bolt action scout rifle that did the least amount of damage as possible. But if you get that headshot, you get that headshot. That was a lot. It was Scouts and Knives, actually. Apologies, Scouts and Knives. That was a lot of fun. So, it was just one of those that it didn't matter what we were playing, because it was, always a group of us playing and trading off. It was just we were watching each other. Someone was sitting down with a soda and a bag of Doritos and hooping and hollering and laughing and having a good time. And I think it was more about the environment that I did it with, rather than the game itself, if that makes sense. A close-knit group of friends in middle school, so it was a lot of fun.
The early days of online play.
Yes.
Are you thinking with Counter-Strike 2 coming around? You thinking about picking it back up?
Nah.
No time.
I mean,
nobody got time for that.
I've got a different game that I'm looking forward to. So I don't really even know what Counter-Strike 2 is. I don't know what. I mean, people are still playing Counter-Strike. I would jump in if somebody's like, "Hey, we're going to play this," and I had the free time. Yeah, I'd play. I would enjoy it. I'd be terrible, but yeah, I would still enjoy it. But it's Counter-Strike 2. It's not one of those that I'm going to go buy or anything.
So we move on. Last game on the honorable mentions. Back to puzzles. Sudoku.
Yes, Sudoku. So if you're not aware go ahead.
Go ahead. Explain Sudoku.
If you're not aware of what Sudoku is, all you got to be able to do is count 1 through 9. That's all it is. So think a 9x9 matrix or a 9x9 grid, if you will. It's it's 9 3x3 grids all puzzled into each other. So in one 3x3 grid, which has 9 squares, you have to fill in each square is a number 1 through 9. And then in the next grid is the numbers 1 through 9 as well. So in each of these 9 3x3 grids, the numbers 1 through 9 appear. Now, vertically, in a vertical line of 9 tiles, the numbers 1 through 9 appear. Same with horizontal, and then the same with the 2 diagonals. So it is a puzzle game of here are a few of the numbers filled in. Now, using deduction and reason and logic, and then at some point you're going to have to guess and see if this is the right path. Fill in the rest and make sure that all of the rules are valid, that you've gotten 9 1s, 9 2s, 9 3s, so on and so forth. So where you filled this all out and you haven't broken any of the rules, meaning you can't have 2 2s in a horizontal, vertical, or in a 3x3 grid. It has to be distinct for those rules. So puzzle game. This goes back into the college days of when I first got introduced to Sudoku, studying mathematics and just giving my mind a break from calculus and physics and linear algebra, giving my mind a break for all of that, but still kind of focusing on the logic and the reason and the deduction and honing that skill and that sharpness, if you will. I was going to say, unlike Tetris, though, there's no anxiety. It's go at your own pace. You could solve it in a day. You could solve it in a week. There's no rush to it.
See, I was just trying to figure out if you played it with like a melting candle over your head, ready to drip wax on you to cause pain or something. I felt like that's where this was going, but I guess not.
No, this is therapeutic. This was 100% calming and therapeutic, and you needed to decompress and do something kind of mindless. This was mindless to me.
So is this something you still do now? It's kind of like a daily routine kind of thing, or just time to time when you need to take a break?
Time to time when I need to take a break. If I pull open my phone right now and I go to my games folder, there's a few games that have been there for years, and Sudoku is definitely one of them. 2048 is one of those as well, where you smash like numbers into each other to sequentially get up to where you 2048 and or as high as you can get. And Really Bad Chess is on there as well. If you like chess, you should check out Really Bad Chess on the Android App Store. More or less take a chessboard, mix up all the pieces, and then go play. Super fun, super cool. But yeah, it's just one of those things that's it's like a default, right? It's a let me go and decompress with this puzzle. I still get to engage, use my brain. I don't get to fully turn off my brain. If I wanted to fully turn off my brain, I'd just go decompress, watch a movie, watch a TV show or something like that.
So did you play, was it always like on a phone or on a computer? Or
always on a phone.
Okay.
I lied. Somebody gave me a Sudoku book and I filled it out one time. But typically on my phone, on the app.
So I always wonder this because when you're playing on an app, a lot of them will let you know. Like if I've filled in all the 2s, it's like, now oh, you're sure that this is that, as opposed to doing it on paper where they can't tell you that.
You've offended this man, Ray.
I'm bothered by that too. I don't want to know that I put them in before I finish the whole thing. That's what I was asking.
There's settings, Ray. You got to get it off at easy.
This is as bad as when you asked Gargano what his class was, not assuming it was going to be wizard.
I just had to make sure because it takes away of it. But maybe I have to check the settings next time. I don't know if I have Sudoku on my phone. I have 2048. I do love playing 2048.
You got to check out Really Bad Chess too.
Really Bad Chess. I had not heard that one. That's one I will look at because I love chess too. That's an interesting concept.
All right.
Chess C3CS coming at some point.
Really bad chess?
Not well, you know what? Really bad chess might be actually interesting C3CS. But again, I'm gonna put it out there. Chess.com has a very nice streaming feature that you can watch people's games. So it's gonna happen at some point, people. Eventually.
Take note, it's coming. All right, well, this is the point in the podcast where we look to the future and talk about a game you're looking forward to. This is a question that we usually ask when we're going through, like saying, send us your games, let us know what we're going to talk about. That way we've got a little bit of a heads up and you can plan ahead. And you said, nah, no thanks, I'm not going to answer this one. However, you opted to give possibly the most wholesome answer I could have asked for. So when I asked you this question, what game are you looking forward to? What was your response?
Okay, so I don't know if I fully understood what you were asking, but I'm most looking forward to when my 5 and 2-year-old are finally ready to jump into gaming, like fully, right? Not sit there and struggle through things where it's frustrating to watch, right? Like a train wreck, or even watch them get frustrated is the worst part, because then they're not having as much fun. So that's what I'm most looking forward to, honestly, is like the day where I'm super close. So I just today hooked up an Atari 2600 for my 5-year-old. We just got it from my wife's grandfather who passed away. I think it's from 1977, or 82. It's like the original Atari 2600. I think he bought it when it first came out. Hooked it up. It still works. And my 5-year-old was kicking my butt at Sea Air Base or something like that, right? He was beating me at Miss Pac-Man, with the Joy-Con. So like he's getting there. He's getting there. And so super close. But August 4th, 2023 is what I'm really looking forward to, because on August 4th, I believe the greatest game possible could come out.
Dramatic pause inserted.
Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles open world. That's what I'm looking forward to. Like an open world Ninja Turtles game. I enjoy beat 'em ups. I enjoy side scrollers, but it's long overdue that the Ninja Turtles get the respect of an open world.
What? Wait, where? What?
August 4th is the day the movie comes out, right?
So
I just threw that date out there. But there are rumors that Paramount is working on an open world Ninja Turtle game.
Yeah,
I'm reading about it right now.
Yeah. Huh. It's funny because I remember seeing this because, thanks to you, and we'll come back to this, but we get to monitor a lot of the news sites and figure out what stories kind of, frankly, it drives a lot of the game library that we come up with, and this is one of those ones, much like The Last Ronin. I haven't added it in yet, and that's where I thought The Last Ronin was overtaking that, but there's discussion of the Mutant Mayhem prompting a game release. So interesting.
And now, I don't want them to rush it, right? Because I don't want it to suck and then them just be like, all right, this was a bad idea. Because that's not what people... Can we call Brian right now? Can somebody phone Brian in to back me up? Because the people want an open world Ninja Turtle game. Like there's a Spider-Man mod where you can put a turtle suit on Spider-Man. So it looks like you're playing as a turtle. But the problem is you're still shooting a web, right? Like that's not a problem, but like I think part of the missions is to like web people up and things like that. So it's like it takes away from that, like this isn't what I want, right? As well as like I think, the whole point of Spider-Man is like you're up at the skyline, right? The turtles, like we got to be in the sewers, and the villains, right? Like I want to see Shredder, I want to see Baxter Stockman, I want to see Krang. So there's so much for that. I'm a big turtle head. We've bought all of the original. Sorry, not all of the original. We've bought like replicas of the original toys from the 80s for my son. We've got half shell heroes, which are really, really fun toys. And then like my son sleeps every night with my original Ninja Turtle pillowcase from the late 80s, early 90s. So like big turtle family. We love turtles. We're super excited for the movie to come out. We have a countdown, August 4th, 2023. I'm really hoping they push an open world game because as fun as the side scrollers and beat 'em ups are, I want to explore that world a lot more.
The movie looks good. Don't tell Ray I talked about a movie, but I'm excited for it.
Ray, we've got to talk the Ninja Turtle movie, all right? Because it's something to look forward to. And if it is going to bring phenomenal video game, then we can look forward to the movie.
I agree 100%.
Careful, he turned over an hourglass when we mentioned the movie, and there's only 5 grains of sand left, so we're going to move on to a quest here. We're going to get away from this because I'm afraid to find out what happens if those last 5 grains cross before it ends. Ray might explode. So, we're going to go on to our quest, a question from the Channel 3 history books we picked to discuss. We don't tell you what question we're going to ask you about this one, but there's one that popped out to me here that I wanted to hear your answer to. What is the best lesson you learned from gaming?
Probably something along the lines of tenacity and grit. Like, you can't give up because, so if you haven't heard so far, I'm terrible at video games. So if I would have never learned to keep going and keep pushing through when things get tough if it weren't for video games. And 100%, if I was good, I wouldn't learn that. And if I wouldn't push through, then that's definitely a life lesson that I wouldn't have. So I'm grateful for video games in that regard. I grew up with just my mom, so she wasn't always available for, parenting because she, had to be making money, cooking dinner, washing clothes, running a household as a single parent. So, learning to not give up on Super Mario Bros, right? Even though, I just keep jumping into this dang lava. Like, why do I keep jumping into this lava? Whatever it might be. So that is the type of lesson that I feel like I've learned from video games. One weekend for the PlayStation, we rented Crash Bandicoot. I don't know why my mom let me rent it, but I beat the video game in like a weekend. Maybe it was 2 weekends. I don't remember it being 2 weekends, but because I say 2 weekends, maybe because it's hard to believe that I beat it in 1 weekend, but I beat Crash Bandicoot. Like it was like 100 and something %, right? It was more than 100% because I did some side missions. Like, I was super surprised and super proud of myself. Don't ask me how far I got on Spyro. We will never know.
I was good. I'm glad you got to Crash because you flagged when you answered that quest on Channel 3. You flagged Crash Bandicoot. I was wondering how that tied in, but that epic weekend kind of bringing it all together, that'll do it.
Yeah, I swear it was August. It was right before school started. And man, I remember a babysitter being involved. So maybe it was just like my mom went out of town for the weekend but I remember beating the game and getting to like 120% and feeling just like so joyous and proud, like deep down as probably like a 9 or 10-year-old. I think those were some like really formative core feeling. People talk about core memories. That was a core feeling of like accomplishment early on, and I'm just super happy about that.
And the last question we always ask is, what's been your favorite feature in Channel 3? But I want to word the question differently. Since, again, you are, such a big part of what we're doing right now, everything that's happening. What's your favorite feature that you've been part of, that you're kind of working on for Channel 3?
Probably the chat, for sure. It was something that Joel and I Joel's got this roadmap, and he doesn't need any of us to get any of this done. The guy's really smart. It's just a matter of time and time commitment. But just, I'd kind of been shooting him some ideas of like, hey, we could build a real-time chat like this and like that. He was like, I don't know what any of that means. And I was telling him, like, neither do I. I'm just reading this stuff. Like, I don't know what this means. And so the beginning of season 4, we launched real-time chat. And Seth absolutely made me cry that night. Not really, but I allowed Seth to push HTML injection. And so Seth was like displaying YouTube videos, changing all the backgrounds for the chat for everybody. And it was just one of those moments where it was like, I was super thrilled, and I still am, about launching this product. But talk about learning life lessons and tenacity to just keep going forward. But anyway, sorry to derail like that. But no, chat for sure. We now insert pictures on chat. Joel's figured out how to make admins to chats for groups and things like that. I think he's on the cusp of figuring out a way to do messaging, if you will, all because of a little small, like, hey, we should scale it on this path right here. So I'm super proud of that and super thrilled about that. And super excited to see where it's going to be in a year from now.
And with that, we've made it. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Sorry, I'm going to take this opportunity because the feature that the only person who benefits is me. I want to thank you for the news consolidation, because what previously would require me finding a site, pulling information from that, copy a link, paste a link, post a picture. You've consolidated all of that into one feed for me that I can just click. I can add the game to it. I click it off. That also means that all of these games that there's news coming out about, like, hey, this game's coming out in a month, this game's coming out in a year. I can add the game to the library with that time instead. And we've got a nice little library of games to look forward to. So I've just got to take this opportunity and shout out a feature that has not benefited the other literal thousands of users on Channel 3, but benefits just me.
Yeah, you're welcome. A lot of people hate that feature.
No, like 3 people hate that feature. They're just loud. You paid attention to them. The whole point of this is you don't need to go anywhere else for all kidding aside. Listen, they may not care about the Game Rant page, but guess what? It's there and it's available, and you can get your game news that you would see on some other garbage social media site that's a dumpster fire that we don't have to reference at this point, and all that information's there. I used to go to my Google feed even for this stuff. I don't even do that anymore.
They pay their developers on those websites, though.
Fair. That's fair. We're all chugging along here.
I'm just joking.
I also I like seeing the news too, by the way.
I enjoy it too. Thunderpump went and shared in the Discord chat about the Mario movie, like finally coming out, being available for home purchase. But I already knew it was going to be available for home purchase because of the news feeds on Channel 3.
There have been a few times where somebody's gone and shared a Discord link, and I'm like, hey, we had it here 12 hours ago.
Yeah, well, because of other people doing the work, like Game Rant, actually doing the reporting. We just need to get them officially sponsored into Channel 3.
We consolidate.
They get their clicks, okay?
Yes, they do.
And with that, we've made it to the end of another podcast. Jay Davies, thank you for being our guest today. You can find the podcast at c3.gg/podcast, dropping every Wednesday morning, 3:33 a.m. Eastern, on all the major platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. I am El Rey. Dan Tucker put us all together, and our executive producer, Joel Willis. Have a good day, everybody.
Dan, I told you it was going to be fun.
You had me
I was looking forward to this.
You had me all worried though that like I don't know what I was expecting, because I got to go back and look and hang on. Now I have to find.
I'm surprised y'all missed the golden opportunity on the quest answer that I gave.
Which one?
I won a sweepstakes from Pepsi Cola.
Oh no! Come on.
That's Dan's fault.
No, wait, hang on, because guess what? We're still recording. You're going to talk about that now, and I'm adding it afterwards.
There it is.
All right. So I'm in 5th grade, and like every 5th grader, I'm getting on AOL, and Pepsi Cola, I don't know how I got tied into it. They have a video game where I'm playing this racing game, ASDW and my arrow keys, spacebar. I'm playing a racing game on my computer, but they have a contest. Let me take a step back. This 5th grade, 2000, I suppose, is what it is. I'm playing this racing game, and I guess I realized it was a contest, but I was enjoying this racing game. I finished in the top 100 or something like that. And so Pepsi sent me, before they shipped to anywhere else, a case of Code Red. And my mom was like, what the heck is this?
That is not a natural color of red. Humans are not meant to consume that. That looks like danger in the wild.
Yeah, we didn't really drink soda, but it was me who did most of the gameplay, but my friend Zach Schmidt played with me as well. And so when we realized we entered, it was hey, we're gonna split this case. So and he went to a different elementary school from me at the time, but we knew each other through baseball. And then we went to middle school together. And so going into middle school, it was super fun because Zach and I had spent so much time playing that game through knowing each other through baseball and winning this contest as a 11-year-old, winning as an 11-year-old, probably back then wasn't legal. I don't know. These days, you'd probably definitely have to be 13. Super fun, like, and a super cool, memorable moment. When I first saw, like, what was your proudest achievement or whatever in gaming, like, whatever the quest is that I answered this for, my mind flashed back to that. So I went to the Wayback Machine and found the website. Sadly, the game isn't working, but I did find the website, and it should be linked in there in the quest and all of that. You can see like a screenshot image of like the Agent Code Red is the name of the game, but nobody knew what Code Red was because it hadn't come out yet.
Now I know what I need to make is the tease. If I remember to make the tease post, I have to find the link to that site. There you go.
I'll find it. I'll find it for you. And I'll send
note
it
to
to
self.
you.